friend, colleague, and also from the MMQB himself, Albert Breer, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. Good to see you, Albert.
Hey, what's up, Rich?
So,
how we doing?
Anybody
land in Los Angeles that that you know of recently?
Here we go. I was about to say, of all the coaching hires that you want to break, right? It's got to be Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan to go somewhere.
That'd be a fun one.
So,
yeah.
but as you and I are conversing in the middle of the afternoon on this Tuesday after divisional playoffs, it does appear that Harbaugh's here talking to the Chargers, and that there's a lot of there's smoke and there's a fire, and he's there. They might not let him out of the building, Albert.
Yeah. So I think, I think that there's two tracks that the Chargers search is working on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one track is the Harbaugh track. The other track, I think, is the contingency track. So they've continued to go through interviews with other people and continue the process. The calendar has changed a little. And so the way the NFL calendar works now, you can't bring in people in person until this week. So like if you can't just go through like a week of courting with one candidate and then reset after, or you put yourself way behind. So that's still going on. Over to your right. Over to your left, you have the Harbaugh piece of this, which to me, like, I don't think it's about money anymore. Like, because I know that there was a lot of talk about that. I'm not sure it's about money. I think this is about structure. This is about resources. This is about what you're going to put around me and what it's going to look like. And so, like, to me, the questions are things like, are you willing to pay Jesse Minter $3 or $4 million a year to come with me?
As defensive coordinator.
As defensive coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
what does my front office look like, right? And we've seen they've interviewed no less, and it might be more, but no less than 4 candidates that he's got connections to. 2 guys who have Baltimore roots, and Joe Ortiz and Ian Cunningham. Brandon Brown, the Giants assistant general manager, who he's got a relationship with, and Ed Dodds, the Colts assistant general manager, who he goes back all the way to Oakland with. So he's known for 20 years. So it looks like they're willing to hire a general manager to match with him. And then, and I think this is a key part, how does ownership involve itself in football? You and I both know the Spanos family is very involved. It's a family business, right? Mm-hmm. And John Spanos, Dean's son, has overseen the football operations side. Jim Harbaugh had problems with ownership in San Francisco. And so I certainly could see where for Jim, a big part would be like, how do I head that off now? How do I make sure that's not a problem now? And it's coming to a comfort level with how ownership is going to be involved on the football side. So I think all that stuff is what determines whether this gets pushed over the goal line or not. Like, and I think a lot of people were looking at money and stuff like that. And like, I think that was always going to take care of itself, because I do think like the Spanoses are, and the Chargers in general are sensitive to the idea they won't spend or that they're irrelevant in LA. And I think, getting Harbaugh addresses all of that.
Oh, yeah.
I think now it's sort of about like what you're putting around Jim and whether or not the setup is comfortable for him, which it sounds to me like they're willing to do what it takes to get this done.
Yeah, why not? I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially since, this last several years was filled with Brandon Staley. We're going to stick with him, even though Sean Payton's sitting right here in Southern California on the Fox set. We're going to stick with him just after he blew a 27-7 lead in the playoffs. And then this year plays out to the point where they feel no choice but to fire him mid-season. And then Jim Harbaugh's sitting out there. And then what? He would go back to Michigan or wind up in Atlanta or somewhere else because it comes out the Chargers wouldn't give him whatever he felt comfortable,
right,
that he needed to feel comfortable. I mean, what that you can't have that.
Yeah,
right?
From a business standpoint, it'd be horrible, wouldn't it? I mean, you're out there.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
I mean, as far as like being relevant in Los Angeles, the chance that Harbaugh gives you to be that, and then to get the rug pulled from underneath you and you're not getting him, like now what do you have? Like, now what do you do? Do you go spend $25 million to go get Belichick to make up for it? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like the cost of losing that now, with so many people assuming it's going to happen, could be heavier, So I think I personally think this has nothing to do with my allegiances. No. But I personally think like this is set up. I think I used the Parcells comparison with you a couple weeks ago, right? Like where it's like, I think he's the modern day Parcells as an NFL coach. The Chargers are ready to win now. Like that roster, like they're not going to be like Joey Bosa and Derwin James and Keenan Allen. Like those guys aren't going to be around forever. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe some of them won't be there next year. So like, I do think that there's an urgency with the group of players you have right now. There's, a need for some juice, in the market from a business standpoint. And, and you've got a quarterback there who can attract a guy like a Jim Harbaugh, so it just all lines up. And then on top of that, like geographically, he loves California. He went to high school in Palo Alto. He played for the Chargers. He coached for the Raiders at the start of his career. He coached at the University of San Diego. He coached at Stanford. He has a lot of ties to California. And so the geography to me is like almost a cherry on top. A lot of things line up here.
Yeah, he also retired Nick Saban here, first of the year.
That's right. Yeah.
Just pointing that out.
That's a notch you can't take off your belt. On the way to winning that notch off your belt.
On the way to winning the national championship. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.